Hello, my name is Mara and welcome to Books Like Whoa. So we've got March's haul, and I really thought when I was like getting ready to film this, I was like, I don't actually have that much, especially compared to the last couple of months. And then I started being like, oh yeah, I got that and that. Oh yeah, that I actually did get when I moved. Oh, okay. And by the time it was all said and done, I'm like, okay, this is still a smooth like 25 bucks. But the good news is this month I either read or gave away as many books from my collection as I brought in. So it was like net gain of 0. It was still 25 books coming in. Whatever, it's cool. I'm just living in my reality now that I just am a terrible person who cannot control themselves when it comes to buying books. This is just my vice, and I'm gonna have to be okay with that. So anyway, this isn't, I don't think, as like crazy considering I wasn't in the middle of moving, so it's not as like shameful, but we still got a lot of books to get to, so let's just dive right on in, shall we? Okay, so let's start with some classics that came in. So one of these is a replacement book. I got this little edition of T.S. Eliot's work, and I had previously had like kind of a crappy paperback version. So this went on sale, I think, for like $8 or $9 on Amazon, so I went ahead and scooped this up. And there's a number of other books in this particular edition that I'm going to get eventually, but I'm waiting for them to get to a price that I'm cool with. So I got this. Then in terms of my Coralie Bickford growing collection, as you can see up there, I got The Prince. This is, a political classic, and this is one of the smaller books, but what I realized is that like philosophical or kind of like non-fiction classics, I think mostly come in this size. So this will go with the one from Nietzsche that I already had, so I'm more excited about collecting these now that I know that they will all be in a little set together. So I got this. Then I got a notification from Book Depository that if I got something that was on my wish list, it was like, I think 20% off. So I went ahead and got Shirley and the Professor in the Every Man's Library edition from Charlotte Bronte. I love Charlotte Bronte. If you don't know that, Jane Eyre is my all-time favorite book, and I also really love Villette. I've actually not read either of these two from her, so I will be very, and I had Shirley, but I didn't have the Professor previously, but I got rid of Shirley because it was a paperback. So now I have both, and I will look forward to getting to these at some point. I don't think this is gonna happen this year, but next year I'm thinking about doing kind of like picking 12 big books to read and getting through them. So I don't know, maybe I'll read that as a part of that. But anyway, I'm excited to have this. And like I said, this is in my Every Man's Library collection that I'm growing. And then finally, I have been wanting to get a copy of The Old Man and the Sea from Ernest Hemingway. I had my eye on a different hardback edition, but I saw this at the used bookstore when I went there, and so it was free to me because I have so much trade credit, you better believe. And yeah, this is far and away my favorite Ernest Hemingway work. I know it is heresy, but I actually don't really like Ernest Hemingway novels. I tend to like his short stories, and then this is basically a novella. So this is my favorite thing from him, and I did want it in hardback, and I got it for free for me. So that was exciting as well. Okay, and so my next category is YA. And guys, I've made a very dangerous discovery, which is that YA hardbacks are so much cheaper than adult hardbacks. And so it just makes it so much easier for me to be like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go ahead and buy the book and not wait for it from the library. It's a real problem, but at least 2 of these did come from the used bookstore. So let's start with those. The first is The Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. I've actually heard pretty mixed reviews about this particular series from her, but I got it at the used bookstore, so it was free to me. Side note, I did go to the used bookstore this month, and it was very disappointing. I only ended up with 4 books, which you'll see all of them, but like, I have like $250 worth of trade right now, and I was trying to use it, and I hardly used any of it. But anyway, I made $50, which I converted to Amazon stuff so that I can get more free books. But anyway, that's all a side note. All that to say, this I got for free at the used bookstore, and she's an author. I think I put this in a tag video I did towards the beginning of the year. She's an author I want to read more of this year. I started reading the Darker Shade of Magic trilogy, and I really enjoyed the first one more than I thought I might, and so I'm gonna finish that series. Those are the other 2 over there, and I got this one as another series to try from her, and I also have Vicious. So I think by the end of the year I will have pretty good feeling, sense of how I feel about Victoria Schwab. So got this. And then I read the ebook of Every Heart a Doorway, and I was obsessed. One of maybe my favorite read of the year, one of my favorite reads of the year so far. So I already had Down Among the Sticks and Bones in hardback. I hauled that last month. I got that from Book Outlet. So first I got Every Heart a Doorway in physical form because I like it enough that I want the whole series in physical form. Again, so cheap. I think this was like $9 when I bought it. So I got this, and then you know, I have to complete the series as it currently stands. So I also got Beneath the Sugar Sky. Ooh, hair. I shed so much, guys. My hair is literally on everything. It's like having a dog. It's terrible. Anyway, Beneath the Sugar Sky by Seanan McGuire is the third book in her Wayward Children series. And yeah, I am so excited that this is going to be a long-running series. I can't wait to get to them all. And now I have all of them as the series currently stands. Oh, and sorry, those I got from Amazon. I meant to do my next used bookstore one after that, so my bad. This is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas, which, you know, the entirety of BookTube has probably already read. I know that's not actually true. We talk about BookTube as if it's so much more homogenous than it actually is. I have anti-hauled this in the past and said I wasn't going to get it without trying it from the library, and I've decided to go back on that, and here's why. I have now listened to enough about this series that I have a pretty good sense that I am going to like this book. This is the second book in the series, and pretty much everybody whose recommendations I trust say that the first book is not good, this is very good, and the third book is just okay. So I got this at the used bookstore, so that means I did not actually pay money for it, which is one caveat. And the second is, I think I am gonna enjoy this. This plays with some tropes that I enjoy in fiction, so like kind of like a Beauty and the Beast / Hades Persephone type situation. It has fae, which I tend to like, and I am willing to give this a chance considering I invested no actual dollars in it. So I'm going back slightly on my anti-haul, but I feel like I did enough research that this isn't just me like, oh, everybody likes this, I'm picking it up. I made a conscious choice that I'm not gonna read the first book because I don't think I'd like it. I'm gonna start with the second book and probably finish up with the third and then be done. So I feel good about this decision. It was somewhat, I mean, it certainly was influenced by BookTube. Let's not lie to myself. If I had never watched BookTube, I would never pick this up. But I think I'm like being an informed consumer, so I feel okay about this. Okay, and then two more YAs that I got from Amazon, one of which is a pre-order, one of which I got because a reviewer that I really like was talking about how much she enjoyed it. That one was The Last Namsara, not sure how to say that, by Kristen Ciccarelli. I've not heard a lot about this on BookTube, probably nothing about this on BookTube, but the reviewer was talking about it in such a way that was really interesting to me. This is a YA fantasy. You'll notice most of these are YA fantasy because I've been talking about how I'm really in the mood for fantasy recently, and yeah, that's how things are. What was intriguing to me about this is that I think that the premise of this is that the chosen one, because I feel like YA usually has a chosen one, she is essentially seen as like a figure of fear, and like she's I think like sort of like a mystical assassin dragon. Like I think she's a dragon maybe, I don't know. But she's always been told she's really bad, and like her dad, she's a princess, and her dad is always like, you are this, you know, executioner, whatever, that's your fate, that's your destiny. And she starts like, I think, questioning that narrative and coming into her own. And I just thought that sounded like a really intriguing premise for a YA fantasy. It was something a little different than I'd heard about before, and this was a reviewer I really trust. So anyway, I'm excited to get to this, maybe not this month, but soon, because like I said, that's kind of what I've been in the mood to read recently, and I can usually get through these pretty quickly. So excited to read that. And then you've already heard me gushing about Children of Blood and Bone. I pre-ordered this, so I always knew this was going to show up in March. I actually still have not finished this yet because I know I want to, like, I've been saving this for an afternoon, and it's not going to happen this weekend. Today's Easter. Happy Easter. It's not going to happen this weekend, but maybe next weekend. I want to really devote an afternoon to just reading this all together, because I tried reading it in smaller sips and I wasn't getting as much out of it as I want to. So I'm very excited to finish this. I want to finish this in the next couple of weeks, but I want to wait until I actually have like my full attention to devote to it, because otherwise I feel like I'm kind of missing out on some of the like joys of it. So that's all the YA that I got this month. And then I got a few kind of like literary fiction / literary criticism things. So first is Sorry to Disrupt the Peace by Yumi Cottrell. I honestly don't think I'm gonna like this book very much. Or I say that. This is not a book I would have picked for myself, but it is the book club pick at my new local bookstore, and I really wanted to see what that whole thing was about. So yeah, so this is the pick for the book club, and so therefore I got it this month for our meeting in May, I believe is when I have to read this by. Like I said, I'm not that intrigued by this. This is never something I would have picked up on my own, but I'm excited to have like a good discussion about it and yeah, support my local bookstore. And I think that's something that local bookstores can do that something like Amazon can't do. So I wanted to give this a try. Then I found a few actually hardback copies of Home by Marilynne Robinson at my used bookstore, and I was very excited about that because I had just like a general a trade paperback that I wasn't that excited about. So now I have this, and this actually matches my Lila, which is also in hardback. So yay, I got a good replacement book here. And then I got Human in Death, Morality and Mortality in J.D. Robb's novels. Now this is not one that I'm going to read immediately. I want to wait because I think that this was written around the 41st or 42nd book. So I want to get through all of the novels that this includes. But I'm so excited about this. I'd been thinking about getting it because I'd heard murmurings of it. And then I heard this author on the Smart Podcast Trashy Books. Smart Authors Trashy Books. I forget what that Smart Bitches Trashy Books podcast is. I heard her on there when I was doing a catch up on that podcast and was just like, oh yeah, this is exactly, so this is talking about like morality and how it interacts with popular, like a piece of popular fiction from one author. And like, this is essentially what I wanted to do for Agatha Christie for my PhD. So I'm really excited to see this type of a project about a series I'm excited about. And I'm excited to get to this someday once I get far enough in the series to fully appreciate it. So yeah, and also I had a bunch of Amazon points, so I also got this for free, which was nice. Okay, and then Agatha Christie. So I've been talking about used bookstore. My used bookstore is the one that I've been going to since I was like 5 years old. It's in my parents' hometown. It's the best used bookstore I have ever come across. I have all that trade there. I make money there. That is my favorite one. That being said, there's a really cool used bookstore that is now walking distance from me, and I love being in a neighborhood that's walkable again. So I started making it kind of like a little ritual that every Sunday afternoon I walk down to where this used bookstore is, and I buy a volume of the set of Agatha Christie's that I had already started collecting but couldn't find any more of, and they have like a ton of them down there, but they're not cheap especially for a used bookstore, so I can't just buy them all. So every week I buy one. So I got 4 of them. First I got Funerals Are Fatal, also known as After the Funeral. You guys will see my review actually about this book next week, but spoilers is I love this one, so I'm happy to have that. I got Poirot Investigates, which if you've been watching Project Poirot, you know is currently my very favorite Agatha Christie Poirot book, so yay. I got The Seven Dials Mystery. Now this is one that I know a lot of people hate, but I actually love her kind of like adventure-y thriller things, and I really like this. So I was excited to get that. And then I was able to replace my paperback copy of The Underdog and Other Stories with this hardback. And it's interesting, this one actually doesn't exist as an ebook, so I'm glad to have a copy of it because otherwise you don't have access to it. So 4 of these actually live not on these shelves, but out in my living room shelves because it's a big matching set and they make me happy to look at, or I'm happy for my guests to look at them. How about that? And then finally, my sweet mom knows that I am doing keto. If you didn't know that about me. It's kind of cool. I was talking about this with Dane Reeds in my comments on a different video, but like you can see when I read Why We Get Fat and how that completely changed the way I ate on this channel, because I read that I think like in September or October of last year. But as a result of that, I've done keto. It's working really, really well for me in terms of just, I feel great. And she knows this, and she's one of those moms who like when she knows you like something, she like always wants to like participate by getting you things. My mom is like adorable. The saying is every woman becomes her mother. I am so lucky because my mom is a badass. If I become her, I'm doing pretty good. Anyway, she was at Costco and she saw a bunch of keto cookbooks and she called me all excited and she got me a couple, which was so nice of her. So she got me Simply Keto by Suzanne Ryan and Keto Essentials by Vanessa Spina. There's one other keto cookbook I want to get from Leanne Vogel because I really like her, even though I think her approach doesn't work for me as well as it works for some other women. I, at some point, am going to do a keto book list for people who are interested. I get a lot of like emails from family, friends, and you guys asking kind of how to get started with keto. So I think it's probably going to be a while. Like, I don't think I'll probably do this until like later in the summer. But I want to do a video at some point about like keto books and like what I recommend. So part of being able to do that is I need to test these out. I've been cooking from the Simply Keto one, and there's some really, really good recipes in it. My aunt and uncle went keto recently because he has type 2 diabetes. Side note, he's lost a ton of weight, and I think he might be able to come off his medication pretty soon, just saying. Anyway, so she made me a couple of recipes from this, so I've been diving into that, and then after that I'll do some testing in this one, because I want to make sure if and when I ever do that video that I'm giving you recommendations based on like things that actually work for me. So I got those two, and again, my mom is just so sweet, and she's so cute because she's very excited about it, and she pronounces it keto. Like, I don't know why, but that's what she always says. So anyway, keto cookbooks. Okay, so that was all the books. It was a lot of them. There'll probably be a lot next month because you know what? That's just the reality. I am a buyer of books. I now have excessive shelf space. I have more shelf space than I have books right now, and I think that that is just like stirring something within me to fill them. But I need to take my time because God knows they'll get filled soon enough. So anyway, yeah, but I think that that will do it. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below. I think that that will do it. I hope you guys are having a really wonderful day, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye!